Welcome to Cultured Unplugged. If this is your first time joining, we got another great episode as always, bringing you some of the realest conversations between mentors, cats that have been around longer than yourself, people who are maybe more experienced in certain situations, life situations, more than yourself. And I'm happy to dive in on this topic right here. But before I even get into it, make sure that you like, subscribe right down there, and hit the notification bell as you hear it ding. That means that you always get plugged in to what I got going on, to any post that comes on here. We've talked about a lot of different things over the last few months, from hat reviews to beard care to cooking, and I'm hoping to even bring a lot of those things back. But when I talk about these subjects, when I bring up these certain topics, I talk about them in a way where I want to invest in some of the most reflective thoughts from my past, and highlighting those so that you can get a better understanding of how to avoid some of the mistakes that I made. Okay, that's the whole purpose of this channel. So let's get into it. None other than the guru himself. Peter Corbin is back with us again.
Oh, thank you. Hello,
Peter Corbin, we thank you for being back with us on this particular topic, man, because this is a heavy one. We're talking about dating after the one that got away, right? Most specifically, after the one, how do you handle the one that got away, right? But then also, how do you move forward after that whole thing too? Like, how do you move forward to date other people and all that? So we're going to get into it. I just first want to ask you, man, how was your day? What's going on in your world?
I had an amazing day, and thank you for asking. I had an opportunity to talk to both my exes and my daughter, and so that was an amazing thing to accomplish all in one day.
So you spoke to both of your exes. Now, tell me a little about that. Like, is that something that is just a friendship situation where you just openly can be comfortable, where there's no issue there?
All of us are working on that.
Okay.
I believe that, relationships, as they may go, whichever way they may go, it depends on the two people or the people who are having the relationship to take the time or invest that time to communicate. So for me, having the opportunity to speak to three of the most important women in my life, that was great. How was your day?
My day was good. For the most part, I worked, and it's coming to this thing where after work, I'm ready to go ahead and relax. I started off actually at the gym though. I did go to the gym early this morning, about 5 in the morning.
That's what's up.
And that was a good way to start the day. It made some breakfast, and I felt better about my day when I started at the gym. That's for sure. And I think you can't get any better than diving into that. So
that is my daily routine. I'm at the gym as you may or may not know, I'm at the gym between 5 and 6:30 every day, with the exception of the weekends.
Nice.
I go in a little bit later, or may not go in at all. But that is an extremely great way to meditate, to feel the air in the morning, to breathe, to start your day and to see your day through, by exercising and exhaling and working on your mind, your wellness, and your physical well-being. So congratulations for you to doing that.
Thank you.
Amazing thing.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a while. I'll be honest with you. It's been a little hiatus. And
do it again
that's just on me. Huh?
Do it again tomorrow. Do it again tomorrow.
I'm definitely doing it again tomorrow.
Do it again tomorrow.
Definitely tomorrow.
One day at a time.
Doing it again tomorrow. Yes. Absolutely. And I feel good. Look good, feel good. Old trainer you told me. All right. So yeah, absolutely, man. So oh man, I'm here trying to piece how I want to even begin this subject, because I've have on the course of just on one hand I can specify two women that were at one point very special to me that I took for granted, or I just didn't know why it ended the way it did, and
Right.
other I definitely know why it ended, and so life can bring some people in your life that becomes the game changer for
Yeah.
you know your whole outlook on love and your whole outlook on yourself. But how do you deal with that when the person essentially moves out of out of your life completely? Like moves on. Maybe find somebody else. Maybe get married. Maybe get a kid with somebody else. Like, how do you deal with that? And I know I've talked about rejection on my channel before, but speaking most importantly about like the one, like the one that you felt like, man, this person is just gone away.
I guess one has so many different coping mechanisms of how they can deal with the lost. I guess getting to a point of realizing that you had a lost. There's a lot of relationships where people don't realize what they have, period. Sometimes they realize that, hey, this person might have gotten away, or what they perceive as a person who got away. It might also have been great that you didn't get involved with that person. So there's that situation too that that we sometimes don't rationalize. We don't. We look at the fairy tale of what we believe could have been, without knowing the logistics of what it is or what it was.
Sure.
And if you don't know what it is or what it was, then what how do you know what it could have been to know that you lost something?
Well,
sometimes you're living in your own reality and it's not the reality.
sure.
So, when you pose the question of how does someone get over the one that they lost? Well, now they realize that, okay, this one got away. All right. That's the scope that they're working with. They're not working with anything else. This one got away. All right. I made the mistake. I made the mistake that this one got away. I wasn't there. I didn't connect. I didn't realize what I had. And guess what? She got tired and moved on. So how do I deal with that? How do I
It sounds almost easy as
exactly.
yeah. Let's say it sounds so easy as what you're saying.
How do I compartmentalize that?
Sure.
How do I sit back and go, well, okay, she got away. It's my fault. He got away. It's my fault. How am I going to address this? And the question starts going into, well, what did you have? What didn't you not have? Where are you going to go now? How do you start forgiving yourself and not holding on to something that is already gone? As you say, they may have started a new relationship. They're now married. Their life has moved on. So what are you going to do? Are you going to be living in the past for what you did and how you let that one go? Or are you going to now start to live your life, realize that, hey, guess what? In 1984 or in 1994 or in 2004 or 2014, I did not know the information that I know now about myself. And at the time of that relationship, I was not ready. So you have to forgive yourself. That's the first thing you got to do is you got to forgive yourself because you're holding on to a certain degree of, I screwed up. I messed up.
Because it's almost like when when a death happens, right? I know that kind of sounded really morbid, but you meet somebody, you really, really like, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in some form or fashion, you was careless, you was reckless,
Mm-hmm.
and you dropped the ball.
Right.
Well, that ball dropped caused the other person to basically turned off in such a way they don't want to deal with you anymore.
Right.
And they are, moved away. So it becomes like the same reaction as a death would be. And you try, because they literally treat you as, and I know this person I could tell you right now who did that. And she had every right to be honest with you. I was not on my faithful. This is over 6 years ago, but I wasn't being faithful. I was living life carefree. I was just really being a little wild out there, and life catch up to you and it humble you. So when it came down to it, I started thinking about it. Say, yo, this was the person who I could see myself having even more great times with. We could have done this, we could have done that. And
Right.
you feel guilty because you couldn't get those experiences. And it makes it worse where you see that person is now doing some of those things with somebody else. And so that's where it becomes like, dang, it can be hurtful inside. It can feel
Right.
like a lot. It can feel like the world is heavy on you.
Right.
So when you talk about, moving on and having the courage to, be able to let your past be your past, I definitely, that definitely comes. I just think that, Peter, I think that what it is you still have some times of like a reflection, at least for me. I can't speak for everybody, but I think even for myself, like, you have periods of reflection. You're like, dang, you get a little, you ever like
Oh
walk
yes.
somewhere and
Oh
you're
yes.
thinking and you get that little cringe.
Oh yes.
You're like, oh, why I do
Yes.
that? Oh,
Yes.
why did I say that?
But you
Oh,
see,
why did I do that?
as we're having this topic, we're not talking about that momentary feeling. We're talking about a feeling that sometimes people carry for a while. And maybe and if I can ask you this question, I think, and do you still harbor that feeling for that young lady? Wow.
And what
She's the
as
one
far
that
as what?
she's the one that got away.
In a lot of ways, yes, but in other ways, no. So I'm kind of on the fence because the reason why I say that is, at the time it was very, very exciting. Like the companionship was fun. Like the intimacy was definitely fun. Like it just was getting to that point. I think there was also some, how should I say, very shallow features that I saw on her that I was looking at that I was kind of like using it as excuses, right? She had like I'm being keeping it real with y'all, man. I gotta keep it real, but she had this like her big toe was like all the way slanted.
Yo, big, yo,
I'm
that's foul.
serious.
That's
Yeah,
foul,
yo,
man.
so both of the toes was like this. Yo,
Yo,
both of them jokers was like chicken
oh
toes,
my
man. I
God.
know it's bad. She probably see this episode. She probably chew me out, but I'm
Oh
so
no.
serious, man. Like,
Yo, that must have been some.
yo, that was freaky to me. I'm not a feet person. You laughing, but I'm serious. I'm not a feet person, but that right there was just it turned me off, man. So
Can I ask a question? When did it turn you off? It doesn't seem like it turned you off right in the beginning because you had to
I
see the
had to
joke.
like look away, man. Like I would be hitting it, I'd be able to look away.
Stupid. You're stupid.
you, you gotta focus on something else.
That's so wrong.
Oh,
That's
I know. But hey,
okay.
man, she had a good positive personality. I will say that.
That's what you want to say. I'm quite sure she appreciates that.
Oh, yeah.
Yo,
Hey. Oh
yo,
man. Hey, this is not
yo,
playing. First of all,
yo.
this is not playing in the show. This is like totally unedited, unedited, right? But this
This
is
is
the real stuff, man. Like it's not
true.
just me though. Like this is some things
Right.
that people have some shallow sentiments that they focus on, and it becomes something else. And then
Right.
when they think about it months after time, they're like, dang, I really let go of that person. That guy was a really nice guy. That girl was a really nice girl, whatever.
Toes was going in separate directions.
But them toes, man, listen, them joints was like this, Chief. Like, I ain't gonna front. I was like, what is going on? But hey, ladies do the same thing with us. They always wanna, yo, his dick look like this and his all this other stuff. And I'm like, really? I mean, do we really have to be? But hey, that's what we do.
Oh, but I don't get into those conversations. But anyhow, but anyhow,
Uh-huh.
I think going back to the original question that you posed, how does someone get over the one that they feel that they lost, and yes, you have that initial feeling of loss, and yes, I think for every man or woman probably who goes through that shit, and I've gone through it, I have, as we talk about situations or periods in life where you and I, you, Christopher, me, Peter, have experienced this for myself. There was this one young lady that I had met, and she was not from here. She was white, Austrian young lady, and I was a dog. I was a period in my life where I was juggling quite a few ladies. And I think, again, when we're young men, without the guidance of knowing how to treat women, we go out with a conquering attitude. We go out with a conquering attitude. And that attitude is also reinforced by our mothers at times. A lot of our mothers don't tell us, yo, slow it down.
Mm.
They just go, boys will be boys. They may give us a little look or whatever else, but, they're not really chomping down on us.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really chomping down. They're not saying, hey, you can't be having 3-4 different women. I don't remember hearing any of my boys' mothers say that. My boys saying that their mother said that. Even my mother said that. So I think, again, it goes back to what we talked about last week in terms of community and what's around you. And I think that that's for myself, as I've gotten older, that is what I've realized, that the community around you identifies how you think and how you deal with situations in your life, whether it be black, brown, white, or whatever else.
Sure.
And so when you have a situation where there's a young lady where you dogged out as a brown man within our culture, what do we feel? We feel the same thing that anybody in any other culture would feel, that sense of loss. That sense of, oh man, I fucked up. Oh man, why is she with that motherfucking dude? Why? All of that's going on within us.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, at the same time, we gotta, put a fucking hat back on and go, yo, we dogged that girl.
Yeah.
She's had enough, and
Right.
she's moved on for something else better because what we were giving her at the time, and so. We can have that fleeting moment, but we can't stay in that moment.
Right.
Because we have to now, as we acknowledge the loss and the feeling, we now have to forgive ourselves and move the fuck on.
Yeah.
Make sure we don't do it to the next person.
Right. And that's a big, yes, I'd say kudos to you just for self reflecting and acknowledging that, I think a lot of times we, as men, we tend to overlook our own shit, our own toxic behaviors and attributes. I mean, you talked about it right there as far as your circle and environment. Would you say that's like an older traditional thought process? Do you feel as though that's still something that's still prevalent today?
When you say
As far as
older,
like the term, as far as like the term, the boys will be boys, the guys will be guys, that kind of thing.
I am hoping that this new generation that is out here right now, these young people, these 15, 16 to 25-year-old people, I am hoping that they don't go through the bullshit of masculinity that we had to go through and our forefathers had to go through. I hope it becomes a lot better for them, that they can talk. Because, again, because of the culture and the community we are in, we're also losing a lot of those young people to suicide, to all kinds of different, perils of our society. So is it attributed to an old school mentality that is still here, that men will be men? That's from that old European, old African, old cultural. That's in every culture. Every culture going back, men have been predominant. Men have done what the hell they've wanted to do. We have. We've done what the fuck we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And when it's come to, or we forget that, or women are our mothers, we forget. Mm-hmm. We literally fucking forget that the thing that we talk about the most, we actually don't really have a lot of respect for overall. Mm-hmm. Because one, we didn't want to give them a voice at the table,
right,
of equality. We subjugated them to our physical strength, and we took them for whatever we wanted to take them for. They've never done that to us.
Right.
And mankind's, I was looking at something today, if I may just step away from it for a moment. And it's just because it's not something because I'm older or anything like that. It's just because I've just spent a lot of time in just wanting to heal. Wanting to heal for me. So, in wanting to heal, I've had to be introspective. And looking at myself and looking at things around me. And if we look at man and we see man has always wanted to control something else. Even by the fact that he has a dog.
Right.
Even
right.
by the fact that he has a dog, he decides that, he wants to have this dog to be his pet. This living human free animal to be his pet.
Right.
He decides that he wants to have dominion over everything. And so when you come from that mentality, you go back to control and everything that you're thinking of, and the girl that gets away within your mind, you're thinking, oh, fuck, and, oh, I wish I could have done better, and why she's with the other guy, da-da-da-da-da. And sometimes the mind gets so warped, and, men go out and do crazy shit because they can't let go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's a lot of that you're hearing on the news now. A lot of young dudes don't know how to work through some of that hurt, through whatever pain that they're feeling, and they can't fathom the idea or thought process of there are so many other women. Huh?
Why do you think that is?
I would say there's a lack of being able to how to have any kind of control. Like there's this feeling of having this like dominion, as you say, and there's a feeling of not knowing how to handle your emotions. Not being able to express yourself and be able to, just straight up. It's like an ego. It's wrapped up in ego. It's wrapped up in pride. It's wrapped up in control. And we talked about emotions before, so it's a shame to say to somebody, because I can't have you, that no one else can have you. It's a real selfish, jacked up thing to say. Very narcissistic thing to say. And so I just don't look at it like that. I may be a little salty, right? And I may say, man, I hope that relationship don't work out. And I know it's jacked up to say, even that is terrible to say. But this is my thinking in my past, when it come down to me feeling better. And they are women out there. Being truth be told, there are women out there. They lose a good man too, or lose a man that they felt like they had a real great relationship with, and they can't get over it, and they don't want to see them with anybody else, or the fact of seeing them in pictures on vacations and trips and all that stuff because they're gonna feel a little side eye. It's just our human nature. How we respond is the biggest part of it. How we actually, say, okay, I'm going to be able to just look past it and move on. Mm-hmm. I don't think you should be friends with every ex. You know what I mean? I think it's definitely tough to do that. If you're in a situation where you have said, we're going to be friends, right? Not every relationship like that's going to work. Some is going to work just fine. I think when there's kids involved, it's a whole other different dynamic. Right. You know what I mean? Right? So it's just a matter of the kind of person you're working with and where you're at in that relationship.
Right.
That's just my only takeaway from that.
Right. Okay.
So I want you to dive in any further you want to add to that.
Well, I asked you that question of why did you think that it is that there's that sense of anger, there's that sense of inability to, I guess in many ways, to communicate, to get one's feelings across. And you gave me a litany of different reasons of why you or maybe other people may feel that way. My observation from listening to my kids and listening to my grandkids, two separate generations. My kids are in their 40s and late 30s. My grandkids are in their teens. The perspective that I get from observing and seeing them and watching them is they're in a society where communication is not prevalent. Technology is. But the real one-on-one communication is not prevalent. So what I see from people younger than myself right now, what was worse before is in the people who are older than me, they didn't used to talk and didn't know how to. Now the people who are younger than me, they're not talking either. They're talking at each other, they're social mediaing, they're texting, but they're not connected. And there's so much anger and there's so much inability to get feelings across and so many vulnerability. People don't want to feel weak by sharing, how they feel. So that's what I get when I hear an inability to, that we're not brought up, you were not brought up in that community where communication was prevalent and you felt open enough to talk about the things that bothered you. Same thing with myself. it was non-existent there. But with you guys, it existed, but you still couldn't talk. You still didn't feel free to talk. So, what are you guys going to do? And that's the question I even posed to you, Christopher. What are you guys going to do in regards to how you communicate your feelings to young women, to your fellow peers, your boys, with the information that you know now? What are you going to do about it?
Well, there
That's
is.
what I
I
wanted
will.
to add to it.
Yeah, yeah. What I will say is this: there are a lot of guys now that are talking, and they're talking a lot. They're actually talking about it on social media quite a bit, and they are interworking and communicating with other young men, other friends, people
Mm-hmm,
they never know, they don't know, and talking
mm-hmm,
about similar behaviors that maybe women they have experienced some sort of relationship with in the past, and they are very vocal about it. You have one side of it that feels like, women we should be the prize, men should be the prize, women are just, whatever, right? They're just doing their thing. They're just being, feminists, and they're doing this and that. And I think both sides honestly are pointing fingers quite a bit.
Oh yes.
And social media provides this platform where people are just spewing anything. People talk about
Mm-hmm,
just any old thing,
mm-hmm,
and it's such a way now. I'm not even sure it was ever designed to be as communicative as we are now today, because we hear about a lot of things. People also have to remember that what they put out there, and how they express themselves is now who they are. It's now
yeah,
representative of their brand,
yeah,
and how that can affect future relationships with
mm-hmm,
people that they like, or that they
mm-hmm.
want to
Oh
like
yeah,
them.
oh yeah,
So you really, I think, what it is that it's still going to be this ecosystem of people just being able to just say whatever, and being open, and looking for some type of guidance from other people.
mm-hmm,
I think they're definitely seeing it from watching, people like you and I, as well, through YouTube and other similar sources. But you're gonna go to where you feel like you could feel comfortable. You're gonna be able to
exactly.
want to express yourself based on whether you feel rejected, whether you feel like the person that you were with, maybe like somebody else, or you're having trouble, with this particular person that you're dating. It's all those things, you know what I mean? And I think
Right.
that it's going to continue to be even more, having more of those conversations that are going to be expressive to how people feel. And that's how, as far as how I feel. I mean, I talk about it. I mean, I've worked through it. I've said, okay, there's some things that I can't change. I can't go back in the past. I can't, and I don't want to. Honestly, I kind of,
Right. Right.
I moved. I moved on. To be honest with you, I
Yes.
moved on in ways where now I can say, okay, I want the best for that person and whatever they got
Mm-hmm,
going on.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But you be realistic. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
there's definitely people that want me, and I don't want them in any way at all. But that's the reality of it, and so you have to accept what the reality is,
Mm-hmm.
be able to separate that certain people are not gonna be for you. You're not gonna find interest in it, and
Right.
vice
Right.
versa.
Right.
And that's just
Right.
the way it works. Stop.
Right.
I think we're in a community now. People rush to think of a whole lot of other things in our mind that's not even happening.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's
Yes.
not even
Yes.
happening.
Yes. 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 You're
Yeah.
so right.
So yeah, so we gotta really be able to take our mind out of it. Really think logistically, think clearly. I would even say have you see that what that post nut clarity is. You ever heard of that term?
Explain it to us.
Post nut clarity is when you actually, you're with with a woman that you mess with or whatever. You climax, okay? So you climax. The man has an orgasm, and suddenly, and actually women too. Women get this too. Apparently, I've heard. Legend has it. But when men get it, in this, I can only speak for men, right? Myself, we tend to think a little bit more clearly. We tend to think a little bit more logistically, more logically. we think more practically. Okay, so in this case, I want you to have that moment of clarity, that post nut clarity. I want you to think about that, have that all the time, right? Have that all the time to give you awareness to where you're at in your life and how you can be able to be open to other people. Sometimes your crush is not in your neighborhood. Sometimes your crush, maybe another state, maybe another country, maybe another area code. You just never know, right? And that person may be the actual one, and you never even know it. You
Right.
come across those situations where you come across somebody, and it's like, yo, where were you all my life? They weren't in your neighborhood. They weren't up your block. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you gotta be receptive to the fact that it might be somebody somewhere else, and that's gotta be okay for you.
Right.
If
That
that
is
person's moved on, okay, pick up the pieces and get back out there and
you
find
go.
where you stand. And you know how many people that go to, work in different countries and come back married to a whole Italian woman, or come back married to a Jamaican woman or whatever it is, right? Be like,
That is
damn, this
true. That is
person,
true.
that's person is what it is. So that's where I want you to think about that post nut clarity in that sense.
Okay. Okay. I think we should leave it on that note.
I think we should leave it on that, because that right there was the
I like that. Hit it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because we had some laughs tonight, man.
I thank you. I thank you.
We had some laughs tonight, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to share how blessed I am to know you.
Thank
Something, we got a lot more learning and growing with each other, and I hope that continues even
Please.
throughout the rest of this year and
Please.
beyond. So
Let's eavesdrop. Let's eavesdrop.
yeah. We gonna pick at it, but otherwise, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Let us know
Yes.
what you think in the comment section. If you're hearing us on the podcast, send us a DM. Let us know what you thought hearing the episode tonight or today, wherever you're at. Listen to us. It's been a pleasure and an honor. As always, think with your big head, not your small head. Get it unplugged. Peace.
Take care.